Hello and welcome back to Mortals and Portals, a Pathfinder real play podcast.
Oh no, I'm going to get confused again.
Adam, I can see you moving.
Zach's pretending to be frozen.
I don't understand what's going on.
You got more to say.
And at the table with me, we have...
I'm your host and GM, Zach.
Wow, that was so weird. I was like, why isn't Adam talking? And he's like, hold it. I can't believe I forgot the intro. Guys,
Oh, you
it's been
legit
a long
forgot.
day. I'm like mentally...
Adam's a pro,
I'm
waiting
not
for his
there.
lines.
All right. Adam is way
that's
more
funny.
patient than Taryn. Taryn can never wait
I know
his turn.
better to cut someone off on their lines.
Yeah.
Every play
Alright.
I've been in, if you don't say the line that's literally word for
And
word right
joining
before, I'll just stand there and stare
at
at
the
you.
table is...
Jules, and I play Adam,
Nope.
a dork.
Yeah, all right.
I'm Dex, and I play Joel, a stud.
Ooh.
I like that
Tough.
affirmation.
And I play Ryan, a sport.
Oh, what?
I'm Waltz.
I'm a
And
dork, he's
I
a
played
spork.
Taryn, a Ryan.
Oh, so a sport.
Ah.
Oh, lucky.
Could have just said sport.
I always suspected that you were actually Ryan.
Well, yeah. I don't know. Hopefully the rest of the session's smoother than the intro. Last time on Mortals and Portals, let's see. Yeah, you guys ended up saving the city. Jules got the Flora de Vida to the soils, and it stopped the city from falling. Sort of. It actually seemed like the Flora de Vida just kind of waited. Like it made a decision almost on its own kind of thing. And let the
Almost
city...
like it's a living thing.
Yeah, or like someone's in control of it and wanted it to do that. I don't know. But
What?
Oh,
I don't know. And then the city
I'm more
slowed down just
confused.
enough not to destroy the planet, but it did crash into the ocean and crumbled the
Whoa.
base of the city and start to flood the caverns. So Jules had to pull the Flora de Vida out, and it only got
Yoink.
recharged a little bit. And then he got Dax, and they swam to shore. And then they eventually like regrouped with the party in that while it was free falling. Waltz was like trying to save Tough and critically failing some rolls and things like that. And but it worked out, you know. So that's very Waltz, you
It
know.
always does.
Kind of fumble
it
your way to
tends to.
success. But in that, Tough had a vision, which we didn't really divulge. In fact, we forgot to even talk about it in the downtime, I think, actually. But
Yeah.
technically,
whoops.
We had
Yes.
good reason.
because Josh showed up, and how can you even focus when someone as beautiful as Josh is present? You know, it's
That's
like
right.
he just captivates us all. But essentially, it was a vision that I sent to Ryan, kind of in text that he was like reading through, and it had some bits and pieces of his past. Maybe we'll talk about it later. Maybe Tuff will talk about it. But in it, it kind of painted a clear picture and understanding of what was going on with the Flora de Vida, and he saw a modified Arcanor hooked up to it that was able to sustain its power, and he got a sense that only he could create it since he's the one who knows Dunadas schematics and things like that. Anyways, they all regrouped and realized the city was now in the ocean, and luckily the Flora de Vida did some last second magic to squash the massive tsunamis that would undoubtedly occur if a gigantic island in the sky plummeted into the ocean. So yeah, don't even worry about that, okay? Don't even worry about it. It's fine.
Seriously, stop.
It's fine.
Stop licking that envelope.
It's
that hate mail
not
envelope.
a big deal. Okay?
Throw it in the
You can
trash.
still send the hate mail to Joel, but it's not a big deal. Okay? So
Do
it's
it.
fine. It's just everyone's like, oh my gosh, tsunamis all over the planet. It's like, don't worry, you know?
Chill, bro.
Yeah, it's like not even a big deal. It's not even a real planet. You know what I mean? Like even if
Jules
it did happen,
stops the tsunamis
It only
too.
exists in our minds.
it's just people in my imagination getting annihilated by tsunamis. It's
None of this
not-
is real,
it's
everybody.
Not even like what are you know?
It's none of this.
It's
Is,
like
Someone's just
drowning a sim
listening
in a
right now, and they're
pool.
like, "Wait a minute, he's right," and they just shut the podcast off and then never listen again.
what am I doing with my
What are
life?
we even doing here? I don't know.
It's real to me,
cut
Zach.
that.
Cut that.
We're gonna lose our sponsorship with Dove.
When did we get
Dumb.
that?
Well, dude, we got that back in season 1.
Oh, the soap from Benjamin Eats Soap,
Can
maybe.
you imagine
Yeah.
People that play
Taryn-
Pathfinder don't use soap.
Taryn accepted a sponsorship and he's just been taking the money.
He's like, I'm really enjoying this podcast. Why is Taryn wearing gold chains all of a sudden?
That say Dove soap on it.
So he's wearing Dove t-shirts. That's strange.
You guys noticed how he
Soap.
always talks about Dove in every episode all of a sudden?
Anyways, I don't even know what we were talking about now, but
Dove.
Now that you've all clicked
Dove,
off of
right,
this.
Dove, brought to you by Dove, I guess. Yeah, so then they all kind of regrouped, and Tough built that Arcanor attached to the Flora de Vida, and they unveiled it to the city. It took them about a week or so to build it. Off-screen stuff, okay? Unless you wanted to watch them roll 100 crafting checks.
I'll do it.
Yeah, he did it. We just cut it out. It actually did happen, don't worry. It just wasn't worth your time. And then Jules also built, with working with the Kitsune, who are very artsy and creative people, to build a big statue called the Keepers of Ciudad de la Nubes, and it had Renard on it next to Smith, and then underneath all of the names of all the loyal Kitsune who died to defend the city. And they placed the Flora de Vida Arcanor combo in Renard's hand, essentially. So he is the protector of Ciudad de la Nubes and the Flora de Vida, sort of. And guess who popped in because a little letter fell out of Renard's guitar when Zoki was giving it to his daughter, and it was written by Renard. So Josh showed up and he read it, and that was awesome and like hilarious and also really creative, and he did it in like half a day, and it was the most beautiful thing ever.
Yeah.
He's like so much better at playing
That's
tabletop
Josh.
RPGs than this, you know, isn't he? Don't you guys
Is he
think?
joining again this episode?
Yeah, that's why I'm being so nice to him, because he's actually listening right now. What do you think, Josh? Just kidding, he's dead. Josh is dead. The
I'm not
tsunami got
falling
him.
for it
The
twice.
tsunami flooded out into the real world and got Josh.
No.
Yeah, I guess that's where we ended our session, more or less. And that is kind of where we're going to start our session. So I have been texting you guys in between the episode, obviously, trying to figure out where you guys think Digsby's crew would go next and what you would do, and kind of all agreed that there are things you guys need to investigate. There are things you need to discuss, because we all sort of envisioned things have just been so intense, so fast. The mission to save the city was not over, as Tough was trying to build this Arcanor, so you never really had time to kind of catch up on each individual thing you guys went through. Alvirium. And you guys decided that you would seek another place away from Ciudad de la Nubes, because you assume that you very soon need to get off world, and there's no nodes in Ciudad de la Nubes, and you wouldn't really go back to Nisserine because their nodes aren't active. So you don't know of many other places, but there is one place you know of, which I will touch on in a little bit. But you guys are preparing to leave. You've arranged to have some Kitsune riders fly you to this place via Hippogriff and drop each of you off. Because you also know you can't really go back to Mazevo, because if you remember the last time you guys were in Mazevo, you were at a cafe that exploded and everybody saw you, and Hippogriffs dropped those bombs, and then they found out you had a Hippogriff on your boat, and that's why Benjamin had to go evacuate Smith, and you guys hid from the Paratier, and then you very publicly went through an unaligned node, so there's just probably a lot of interest in you, so you're not really going to go back to Mazevo. But you are getting ready to leave. You're preparing by Star Sea, which is now more like a just massive flooded gigantic lake, and maybe not star-shaped at this point, but they're still using the name Star Sea, where you're preparing to get on some hippogriffs. Maybe El Yara is standing nearby, ready to see you guys off. So I'll kick it over to you guys if there's any kind of last-minute things you want to say to one another as you prepare to leave.
I know there is something Tough wants to do, and I'm sure the listeners know what that is at this point. But I think in Tough's mind, with LER and stuff around, right now just isn't the time, especially with the fact that a whole bunch of stuff just went down, and I think Tough might even want to gather a little bit more information before he does what he wants to do. So for right now, I think Tough is just kind of trying to be chill about things. Maybe he's, brewing his coffee and sipping on that, but is, maybe a little more to himself in this moment.
Maybe Zoki walks up to you and crouches down next to you. You mind if I get a cup?
Yeah, sure, kid. You old enough to drink coffee?
Wait, what's in this?
Oh, you sound just like Iliara. Do I have to go through the whole explanation again? It's these beans and stuff. Jeez.
Well, sure, I want some.
All right. Waltz, Zoki's using your mug.
Yeah.
And I'll pour Zoki some coffee.
She lifts it up and gives it a sip, and then you see her whiskers twitch, and then maybe her lips snap back for a second, showing her big front rat teeth, and she's like, man, that's bitter.
Yeah, I've heard it's terrible. And Tuff will take another sip.
Eliara's maybe shaking her head because she wasn't too fond of it before either and not interested in having another cup.
Can't say I've ever really learned how to make a good cup. No taste buds and all.
Why do you even drink it?
That's a long story. And Tuff will just kind of glare over towards Dax.
Oh, dang. Yikes, dude.
Dang it, Dax. Ryan, you need to let that go. That was like season 1, bro.
Just leave me alone.
Speaking of, Dax is sort of feeling like he's gone long enough without sitting down and talking to Jules about the whole Dunadas thing and how Tuff now knows, obviously, and Waltz knows because of the whole boat situation. So I think Dax is going to finally buck up and sit down with Jules and go over that, bring him up to speed, tell him that Tuff knows now.
Yeah, Dax, you may be thinking of just quickly sharing that with him before you guys get on the hippogriffs, just so he can pick up on any tension that's going on or maybe get some guidance. But as you search for him, you realize he isn't in the group and you really haven't seen him in a while.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
What's a while? Like a potty break while or like...
It's a good question, Ryan.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, I would say, Jules...
Like a number 2 while,
Yeah, like a dad potty break or a normal potty break?
Yeah, like needs a break from the kids for a little while. Potty break.
I would say the last time you remember talking to him, he mentioned he was going to go for a plunge. He needs to hydrate, especially before a flight where he might dry out, Azarketti stuff. But he's gone like way longer than he normally is for something like that.
All right. I'll look around to the rest of the group. Hey, anybody see Jules?
No, that's a good question. Where'd he go?
I thought he went for a dip. What'd he do, drown?
And
That's a good one, Tuff.
with that,
Can he
we'll
drown?
cut over to Jules, who is submerged in Star Sea, patiently waiting. So, your hair, it is like seaweed. I eat seaweed. Can I eat your hair?
No, stop. You cannot
no.
eat my hair. I know it looks like
What's a
seaweed. It
promise
is
is a
not
promise.
seaweed.
So it is not seaweed.
It is not. It just looks like it. Okay?
Why? Why does it look like seaweed if it's not?
I
What's
don't
the
know. It's
point
just-
of that?
It's the hair of
Can
my
I just
people.
try it? I'll just try it.
No,
I'm just going
you
to
don't
try it.
try my
It's
hair.
kind of drifting towards
No.
you, and his like little fishy
No,
mouth
hey,
is like,
stop.
oh,
No, Blob. If you touch a single kelp
seaweed.
of my hair,
You were going to say seaweed. It is seaweed.
no,
You started to say seaweed.
I will punch you in your fishy mouth.
Well, that's no need for that now.
Look, I
So
don't want to
this
rush
coffee
you. I know
that
I
you
promised,
talk
but I
about,
have
it
somewhere to.
sounds so
okay,
nice.
yes, coffee.
Is there a way
Yes,
to replace
coffee.
all of the water in the lake with this coffee? I would have so much more energy. It sounds like.
Blob, you would die. Although, maybe it's worth
You
finding
don't
out
know
if that's
that.
possible.
Have you ever tried? Yeah, that's what I mean. Before a week ago, I did not think it was possible for such an ugly man to also swim like a fish. Yet here you are.
Yes, here I am. Yeah, I will talk to Eliara and see if she can just
Replace the
flood
lake
this-
with coffee.
Yes.
Thank
And
you.
then she can report back to me on your well-being.
Okay, thank you. And
And
then
I'll wait for good news.
let's see, what are we
Yes,
at?
what-
Question 150. Did Kyra?
Is
does
that
Kyra,
all?
No, Kyra. Did she leave you because you are so ugly?
Blob,
Yes.
I only kill fish for food.
Well, you are not hungry. You said you ate before you came here.
I did.
You should try your seaweed hair if you are hungry.
Listen, I have somewhere I have to be.
If
Are
you love
about
her,
wrapped up?
why are you here?
Because I can't go home.
Why?
Based on your earlier 3 questions, you asked about 25 minutes ago. I've been banished from my home. I cannot return. That is where she is. So therefore, I cannot see her. I cannot
Sounds
be
like-
with her. I don't even know if she loves me anymore.
It sounds like you're giving up, Jules. That's all.
Ooh. Therapy session from
Can we
Boris.
talk
This is
about
not the
something
Jules
else?
that I know who wanted
Can
to
we-
get the floor.
Let's
and
talk
heat
about
back.
something else other than Kyra, please. Yes.
That's all I had. Bye. Just swims away.
Oh, God.
So Jules, he just sort of abruptly swam off as he tends to do, and he's gone.
I'm so annoyed that for as long as he went on, he just as quickly just left.
He's already forgot. He doesn't care.
I shake my fist at him underwater and quickly, think of the group and the fact that I'm extremely late.
Water.
Yes, the coffee. Yes, I'm on it.
Goodbye, ugly friend. Godspeed.
Goodbye.
Or whatever I believe in. I'm a fish.
I'll never see him again. Whatever, I'm a fish. I will swim up and hastily make my way back to the group.
So
That was
you all see Jules
excruciating.
doing his Daniel Craig walk out of the water now.
Oh, yeah.
Season 1, episode 1 callback.
Right on cue.
Keeping a Finn promise, unfortunately. What kind of keeper would I be if I didn't keep my word?
A Finn promise, huh? What is that?
Something you should never do. It doesn't matter. How are we doing? Are we ready to go? Can I help out with anything? I'm very sorry I'm so late. Trust me, I would have been here if I could have.
Oyara comes out. The hippogriffs are prepared for flight. You may leave as soon as you are ready.
Thank you for everything, Eliara. Seems like you've gotten everything in order here. How's adjusting to the new home?
She looks out at the sea again. It will take some getting used to. Having the same view every day, that is. But, now that I am of both the clouds and the surface, I may visit this Nisarine of which you always speak. I'm afraid a drake interrupted my last visit, and I simply must try one of these magical Digsby apples.
Yeah, no, big creatures tend to find their way towards us quite often. Hey, did I ever tell you when me and Reynaldo almost single-handedly took out a lightning-shooting T-Rex?
You said some incoherent story regarding this, yes.
Yeah, no, it was pretty cool. He jumped off my shield and stabbed the T-Rex or something, but it was incredible.
That sounds like my Reynard. And she smiles fondly.
Oh, hey, and listen, sorry for hitting you really hard before I knew you were on our side. But to be fair, you were actively killing Tuff and Jules.
And to be fair, I could have killed you quite easily, as I did to the Roboto Gato and the fish man. Jules, sorry.
My tools weren't working.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, well,
I've got no excuse. I should have been a level 2 higher.
What is this
Should have
level?
kicked my.
Is this training?
What can I say?
well, maybe we could have a friendly rematch someday, and I'll pat her on the shoulder, maybe carry the rest of the equipment over to the hippogriffs and set them down, ready to...
She does a smirk and like a little bow with her head, kind of like, I would like that. And as you guys are maybe rallying onto the hippogriff, she's just sort of walking down the line and says, "You will forever have allies here in Ciudad de Nubes. Thank you for saving us and bringing us back into the world. If ever you find any in need of healing or protection from evil, tell them of this place. It is time the Flora de Vita serves all of Caldora." And she looks to Tuff specifically and bows her head again.
Yeah, don't mention it. But if you're gonna, I could still take a look at that treasure.
I did not know what you were talking about. And she just turns and kind of starts walking away a little bit. And as she's walking off, you see Zoki kind of coming up with her head down a little bit. And she says, "Hey, I know I was originally only tagging along because Renard owed me money and all, but is there any way I could, I don't know, join your crew? I understand if we have to run it by your leader, Benjamin, first, but I know it might sound weird, but you guys are the closest thing to family I've ever had, and I don't know if I can go back to pickpocket in the streets of Mazivo. Just doesn't feel right after knowing what evil's out there, and if there's any way I can help, I want to."
Jules will walk up closer, maybe put his hand on the back of a hippogriff and say, "Well, Zoki, as I'm sure you've realized, we often find ourselves in some tight situations. Do you think you can handle that kind of danger?"
Are you kidding? I mean, the city was falling, like, to the surface, and I got through that. Like, I don't think it gets much crazier than that.
Well, you've certainly earned your spot in my eyes.
Yeah, you've proven yourself to be fairly useful, I guess.
I'll take it, coming from you. considering the first thing I ever saw you do was mess up.
Good one, Zoki. Good one.
She's got a point
I know,
there.
that was a
Tough.
good
Hey,
one, yeah.
Spitfire, I like it.
Good to have you on the team, Zoki.
All right. And she looks over to Elyara and gives her like a hug and maybe whispers something to her, and they kind of give each other a long stare and nod to one another. And then she looks over and hops on the back of one of the hippogriffs because the Kitsune riders are the ones transporting you, so you're all on the back of a different hippogriff. And Jules, maybe off in the corner, you just see a very small Diego leaning against a tree with his arms crossed, just nodding. He's not close enough to talk to you, but he's just seeing you off.
Oh man, I kind of want to go over to him, but I'll just give him a smile. I'll give him a smirk and a nod. Classic smirk and a nod.
Oh, that needs to
He
be said.
salutes, and his eyes are tearing up, even though you can't really see it. And he goes, "That is my fool." Aw.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna miss him.
Did you just wave to that lizard?
It's actually a fish.
Right, and I'm a dog.
That's hilarious.
And then Jules will start packing up his stuff on the hippogriff that he's gonna ride on.
All right. Well, you all say your goodbyes, wave to any Kitsune you've met, take one last look at the statue of Renard and Smith and the keepers of Ciudad de la Nubes, and the hippogriffs kick off and take off into the sky, and you get a beautiful look of this transformed island, the different geography. It looks a lot different than when you first showed up and saw it in the sky, and you can tell that it is forever changed, but you're excited to see what impact they can have on the planet of Lorthal going forward. And you guys fly for a while across the ocean, and eventually near the coastline, a ways off from Mazevo itself, but you do remember hearing of a nearby city, first from Duke, when he was talking about how he likes to be a vagabond around the planet, and when he was going through the Paratier, they asked him where he last was, and he told them this place, and he says it's nice and quaint, and he likes being there. And then you also remember hearing of this place from Geldir,
Uh-oh.
because this
Oh, are we
is-
talking about Lego Thessie?
Well, they're talking about Lego Thessie. You
Legoland.
guys,
Gosh,
I love
dang
Legoland.
it.
Yeah.
Road to Lego Thessie.
The thing is, you guys don't really know Lorthal. Neither do the Kitsune. They don't travel the surface. You've heard of very few places, and you know you need to lay low somewhere, and you know that this place is quaint, and it is secluded, and you know roughly where it is just based on the proximity to Mazevo, and the Hippogriff riders are able to get you roughly in that vicinity, and they
Perfect.
land you next to this very small town in the fringes of the wilderness under the cover of these trees. You all dismount. They give you another subtle salute and make their way back into the skies, back to Ciudad de la Nubes.
As I'm watching them fly away, I just have a thought of Smith and hope he and Renard are together wherever they are, but just feeling some closure. So I'll turn around, and what do I see, Zach? Where are we?
Y'all can roll me a perception check if you want.
I would
Yes.
love to.
Let me roll it too, Zach. Can I do one?
Yeah, dude.
Zach, I got a 22.
Zachary, I got a 17.
Zach, I got a 16.
Also, how much money do we have, Zach or Nesty?
I don't know. I told you once, and it's up to you to keep track of that. But what
Well, I
did
just
you...
figured it might have changed.
Nah.
I have $1 million.
Some fell out of your pocket, Walt, so you have less than you did. Yeah, so you guys look over kind of through the trees, and you just see a very small, it's almost like a village town. It's kind of like fringe. You wouldn't really know how to describe it. It's just very secluded and tucked away with simple buildings planted in a very rugged wilderness, elevating terrain and paths. And there's a little stream running through this town, and you see a few little farms, maybe some livestock. You can hear the sounds of hammers banging away, maybe some work being done, maybe the sound of wood being sawed, and just some chatter. It really does feel like a little pocket in the wilderness, just a town that no one would really seek to find or visit necessarily. It just seems very quaint and secluded.
All right, boys. And Toki, sorry. What are the chances he's here?
Who?
Geldir?
Yes.
I mean, considering the luck we've had so far, I'd be more surprised if he wasn't.
Yeah, it's a small world, as it turns out.
Look, a run-in with Geldir is the last thing we need right now. We're not too far from Mazevo, so we don't know if word is spread about us at all, and those bombings that occurred. We also just got off some hippogriffs here, so I think it's best we lay low as much as we can.
Agreed.
Hey, listen, Tough. At no point when we have ever run into Geldir were we ever trying to run into Geldir.
Well, let's not make this the
That's
first
very
time
true.
then. We should try to gear up while we can, but we've got a lot to discuss. Maybe we can meet at, I don't know, let's find a tavern or something, why don't we?
Yeah, it sounds good.
Lead the way.
I'm in.
All right, so the five of you start trudging into town. You maybe get some confused looks from the elves that inhabit this town. They all seem very quiet and somber and relaxed. Like, you don't see people like running around or acting very intense. It's just a very peaceful location. And maybe a couple of them are murmuring to each other as they look at you, but you also see friendly waves and just people smiling and welcoming you in. And as you walk into town, probably just looking, I mean, if you think about it, pretty ridiculous to these people. I mean, we got a little kobold, we have a robot cat, we have just a lumbering giant human man, and then an Azarketi, but they're still very welcoming in the way they look at you, though you're clearly eliciting some response as they chatter to one another. And as you're walking through, you do see what is clearly the only tavern in the town, and it's called Tapinos Tavern. And it's just a very simple looking tavern. Nothing spectacular about it whatsoever. Maybe just some nice flowers outside planted around it. Very like pristinely built, but doesn't look extravagant in any way. It just looks very precise and welcoming.
Well, why don't we start there and Tuffle motion towards that tavern?
Oh, yeah, the Tapioca Tavern.
Good reading,
Waltz, can you
Waltz.
read? You know how to read, right?
Yeah, Tapioca.
I'll just look at Dax and make a face like,
Dax just smirking.
New lore that Waltz can't read.
you idiot.
New lore just dropped.
Fair enough. Challenge accepted.
You gotta be careful. You gotta be careful when you joke in character, because if we respond in character, it
Yeah,
becomes
then it becomes
solidified.
canon, right?
Well, you're lucky you're pretty.
All right. Should we just walk in the tavern then, or?
Yeah, let's go. I'm parched.
Yeah, I could use a drink. So the five of you just walk into this tavern, open the door, get a few glances from some patrons, but there's not that many people in there. And there's just a friendly looking elf with blonde hair that is loose, flowing down his back, maybe reaching his shoulder blades. And he just raises his hand and says, "Hello there.
Hey,
How we doing?
Hi.
I'm doing well. This is
good.
quite the party we have here. We don't get many visitors out this way.
That's a shame. It's a beautiful city.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Very welcoming.
Yes, well, just grab a seat and I'll be with you shortly.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Excellent. Thank you.
Hey, we'll start off with 5 of your cheapest beers.
Nah, nothing for me.
Four of your cheapest beers.
He raises his eyebrow. Oh, beer. Well, we have wine here. Would that work?
Oh, yeah, we're not picky. Right, wine is okay, right, fellas? And Soki.
Absolutely.
I guess.
Yeah, wine's fine.
Don't matter to me. All right, so the
Yeah.
five of you sit down, and then a few moments later, maybe while you guys are soaking in the scene, again, just a very quaint wooden tavern, and there's a little fire crackling over in the corner. The windows are cracked, just the perfect temperature breeze sort of rolling through. Just feels like the perfect temperature and ambience. Maybe an elf in the corner just lightly strumming on a lute, a very peaceful and slow song. But there is enough chatter going on in the tavern that you do feel like you guys can have a conversation without other people like hearing it necessarily. And the barkeep comes over and freshly pours up a glass of wine for each of you, holding it perfectly like by the stem on the glass and tipping it and everything as he pours it. Maybe even stirs it in his hand a little bit and then sets it on your table for each of you. And then he does a humble bow and says, "Let me know if you need anything else." And he steps away.
Jules looking at the elf playing a lute, appreciating the peaceful atmosphere around him and thinking about what they've just been through, and he's just really appreciating this moment to catch his breath. So he's just feeling really good right now. And he'll say, "Thank you, sir," and he'll put a gold piece on the table.
Oh,
my
Jules.
goodness. Sir, this is not necessary. I appreciate it, though, but truly too much.
No, it's fine. I've got 199 left.
His eyes just open very wide. Like,
I'm joking. I'm joking.
you guys just
I'm
rolled into
joking.
town, big spenders. He goes, all right, well, far be it from me to refuse a customer. And he scoops the gold off the table, and he looks back maybe to another employee he has behind the bar and just gives them a little gesture, and then they nod, and then you see them go back into the kitchen. And then he goes, enjoy. And he walks off.
Sheesh, Jules, we're not on vacation yet.
Yeah, I thought we were laying low.
My apologies, friends.
If you want to blow
Got
your
a
money,
little
I mean, I'll
carried
take it.
How about you beat me in an arm wrestle and I'll give you a gold piece.
Hey, well, I think it was a nice gesture, Jules, and I'll grab my wine glass like I would any other cup, not like a wine glass. You know how you have the fancy hand holding of it. I'll just grab it like any other cup and cheers the boys and Zoki.
Yes, to Digsby's crew. And I'll cheers as well.
Welcome aboard, Zoki.
All right. And she picks it up and clanks her glass to yours.
Should we be worried about Benjamin?
Said,
Oh, yeah.
oh, yeah, he's your leader, right?
Where is he?
Right.
Oh, he's in Mazivo, isn't he?
Oh, dang.
Uh-oh.
Well, rest in peace.
I'll figure it out, right?
I'm sure he'll make his way here somehow.
Yeah, I wonder if we'll ever see him again.
If history shows us anything, all you got to do is start talking about some plans and he'll show up behind you, start breathing down your neck, right?
Hey, listen, you're right about that, buddy.
I feel like you guys are expecting Benjamin to show up anytime.
I'm just waiting. Jules slowly
Like, I don't
turns and
believe
looks
it.
behind him.
There's no way Benjamin's not showed up.
Maybe if we find another flare.
He's the elf playing the lute. And
Gotta glow up while you're gone.
takes the wig off.
Screw Benjamin. We've got bigger fish to fry than him right now. Look, Jules, Dax, we've got some tea to spill. I know Raoul must have given you some info when you guys were fighting him. So what is it?
And you feel slightly interrupted as the employee comes out and sets down a basket of bread in between you, and then also puts out what looks like a filet mignon for each of you, and then does a subtle bow and then walks off.
The heck is this?
Oh, you probably
kidding.
don't need that.
Zoki just starts like ripping it apart, like doesn't look civilized at all, like she has any kind of like table manners or anything, and she like stabs a fork into it and she's just like gnawing on it. This is incredible.
Oh, yeah.
This is hospitality, tough. And then I'll grab my glass and raise it to the barkeep.
Well, thanks, Jules. I haven't had a meal like this in a long time.
Enjoy, boys. Oh, sorry, and Zoki. I have to get used to that. I
It's
apologize.
really not
Yeah,
a
it's
big deal.
gonna take
I'm
a
not-
sec.
It's all right. Don't worry about it. You gonna eat that?
Are you talking to me? I'm gonna eat this. Tough.
All right.
Hey,
may
Jules,
not want
Jules.
his.
Tuff's right.
Yes.
We gotta talk about some stuff. I mean,
Sorry. Yes.
Jules, what'd you think of that Alvirium stuff? Raoul kept talking about how some force, some entity. I couldn't really tell if it was like an army or if it was a single person, or I don't know. Maybe it's not a being at all. Maybe it's more than that. But how this quote Alvirium thing is going to come. That's the reason they were doing all that. That was his whole motivation, was to stop them. And I wish I could have understood more about what he was talking about, but I don't know, that's got me kind of nervous. I feel like this whole keeper thing was sort of thrust upon us. Gosh, God, I mean, this isn't what I signed up for. I came here to get a more calm down life, not to be claimed as some hero of this world. There's a lot of responsibility that I don't know. I'm
Well,
just worried
thanks,
about
Dax.
it,
That
guys.
was about as clear as mud. Jules,
Yeah,
what's
wait
this
a minute.
Alvirium he's talking about?
Yeah, he's gonna blow up a whole planet because of the Alvirium. Zoki's just like gnawing away on this meat, and she's just like looking back and forth at all you guys. What is this thing?
Tuff will take a look at his steak and just kind of turn it around in his hand and flick it over to Zoki's plate and say, "Here, have mine." Jules, Alvirium, spill.
Yes, the Alvirium. And I'll cut into my steak a little more eloquently than Zoki is. Supposedly, it's some sort of evil force making its way to Lothal. It appears that they will come through the nodes. There wasn't enough old magic to destroy the nodes, so Gothram figured just destroy Lothal. The thing about these Alvirium, they seem to be hard to detect. difficult to find out where they are. Unfortunately, that's about all I've got to go on.
Wait, are they here or are they somewhere else? It doesn't make any what you just said.
Raoul seemed to believe that some got here through the displacement, and those that made it here already have sent a beacon to those that are not here yet. And supposedly this node of Lothal is the key to everything.
I must have missed that part. They're already here?
How the heck did they get here?
The displacement.
The what?
The displacement. The big mysterious piece of history of Keldora.
Oh yeah, I don't know history too well.
Yeah, my apologies. Do we have time to go through all of that?
Zogi's just eating.
Apparently not.
Nah, I think we're all familiar with the displacement. What I don't understand is, you're saying this Alvirium, you called it, was going to come through a node, but Raoul thought destroying the whole planet would take care of that? Why not just destroy the node?
Well, as I stated before, there apparently wasn't enough old magic to do so. So he was willing to sacrifice one planet for the survival of the rest.
And what, one needs old magic to destroy a node? A few bombs could probably
Supposedly.
take care of that.
I mean, we can certainly try, but I don't even know which node this is, if it even matters.
Ah, that doesn't help us.
Yeah, how are we going to stop something that we don't even know what it is, can't find it?
Perhaps we seek someone that has a greater knowledge of this universe's history.
Man, if only we could talk to one of the keepers.
Funny you should mention that, Dax.
Oh.
I did talk to one.
What?
And you're just telling us this now?
When have we had an opportunity to chat like this?
2
It
seconds
was like
ago.
a week.
We were all busy. I was building a statue. Duff was building another Arcanor.
Turned out great, by the way. Good
One
job.
of those is not like the other, Jules.
Whatever. We're here now. Look, when you all were fighting at the Castle of Starsea, I was about to face off against Raoul. I thought I had run into Renard, but
That's impossible.
that's what I thought. Until their appearance changed, and I was standing in front of Halfling. He revealed himself to be Edard Mudfoot, and apparently he had chosen me as his successor.
Eddard Mudfoot was a keeper.
Yes, my keeper, I guess. I don't know what I'd call him.
You're losing me.
So are you implying that we each have our own keeper?
It appears so. They choose a successor, and we have to go through a trial of sorts
Oh
to
wait,
see if we're worthy.
like Raucus. I was paying attention. I remember that part. Raucus. He chose tough or whatever.
Oh yeah, Raucus, that cat guy. He said something about choosing me too.
Precisely.
Yeah, did he give you anything else helpful?
He did reveal to me that the vision I saw of Kyra that led me to the node which took me to Nisarene, that it was actually him. I only somewhat remember your stories, but perhaps the visions you all saw were your keepers.
When you say actually him, you're saying Kyra was this Eddard Mudfoot?
Yes, I saw Kyra. She beckoned me to the node.
So he's a shapeshifter of sorts. He can become Renard, and he can become Kyra.
Yes, exactly.
So what you're saying is, all of us that saw someone that eventually led us to a node wasn't actually that person?
Well, I can't know for sure, but it would make sense that if that's how it worked for me, it's how it worked for the rest of you.
Tuff will just kind of think in his head back to when the group was talking about having seen someone that led them to a node, and he didn't have someone he could say at the time, but does remember in his past before he came to Nisarene, seeing Dunadas in a window at Garanar that eventually led him to the mission that led him to Nisarene, and just kind of ponders on that for a moment.
There was one more thing. He did explain to me that this song that I've been working on, you're all familiar with it to some extent. Supposedly, this is my mythium, a specific artistic ability meant for a profound purpose of some sort. I haven't figured it out yet, but I think that has something to do with the fact that I haven't finished it yet. Obviously, that doesn't help us in this situation.
What happens when you finish it?
I will use it for some profound purpose of some sort.
sounds cool.
So that's all you learned from him.
I believe so, unless GM Zach Onesti from Bluegrass Tallgrass Lane has anything else to add.
So let me talk through a couple things here. So the Elvirium are supposed to come through some node, or nodes, I guess. And back when we met Raucus, he was saying that those words we heard were, seventh from the sun, right? Seventh or ninth?
Yes, Septum Solus, 7 from the sun.
Seventh from the sun, and then a couple numbers, 13 and
19?
13 and 19, and then all only together. I mean, what if that's the node that they come through? Seventh from the sun, that's the planet. 13 and 19, I mean, that could be, I don't know if these nodes are numbered somewhere. Or I remember seeing maps of Dracus back in the day that had latitudes and longitudes. Could it maybe be that to give us a location? I mean, I'm certainly no scholar. I hope maybe we could find somebody who knows something, but if all of us are together at that node, I don't know. I'm obviously grasping at straws here.
It's a fascinating theory for sure. One worth exploring further.
I get what you're saying, I guess. But what are you thinking we're going to find with these coordinates or whatever you're saying they are?
I mean, a node. Maybe those are the coordinates of the node that they're going to come through.
Wait,
Maybe
that
that's where
doesn't
we
make
need
any
to-
sense. You said he was going to blow up Lorthal because of the Alvirium was coming through one of their nodes. Now you're talking about the seventh from the sun, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, last time I checked, that's not the planet we're on.
Yeah, that's the snowy one. Arcta. Yeah, that's right.
I mean, that's a good point. I obviously can't argue there. I've been racking my brain since we heard that, trying to figure out what on earth that could possibly mean. That's
No, but
that's
I
all I've
think you're
come
on
up
the
with.
right track. I think it makes sense that if it's the seventh from the sun, we find a way to see if those are coordinates of sorts. And yeah, maybe it just requires all of us or all of something to be there. Can I do a lore check to see if coordinates are a reasonable guess
Waltz, you could roll me a survival check.
to survive?
Thinking about any times you've used maps to navigate or something like that.
18. I rolled an 18.
That's a number.
Yeah, Waltz, you have seen a few planet-scaled maps in your time. I mean, you
Mhm.
know every map kind of has its own scaling, and you've seen it just in your time in the military, like planning
Mhm.
invasions and things like that, or getting briefed. And yeah, you do know that there is a latitude-longitude type system where a negative number would be Western Hemisphere and a positive number would be Eastern, and then positive would be North and negative would be South, sort of thing. So
Sweet.
there's certainly a way to apply that number with that logic.
Okay. Yeah, no, Dax, I think you're on the right track. I think we find a map of the seventh planet from the sun and see if these coordinates point us anywhere.
Could Tuff make a roll, some kind of lore check about Arcta, just kind of being well traveled, and see if any of these like buzzwords, Elvirium, or any of this stuff kind of connects to anything that he might have seen or heard of on Arcta?
Sure, you could roll a nature check about in regards to Arcta.
Suck at nature. 11.
You hate the idea of going to Arcta and you know very little about it, and you just know it's miserably cold and very few species are native to it and it's hard to thrive there. So for that reason, you've done very little investigating about Arcta.
Ugh, Arcta? What a drag of a place. I really hope wherever this takes us, it's not there.
Yeah, and even if it is there, we got to make sure we can even survive. That's a cruel planet.
100%. Can't think of a more opposite place, really. There is one other thing that's a little troubling. You mentioned, Jules, that these Elvirium are shapeshifters or something, where we don't know what they look like. We don't know where they are.
Something along those lines, yes?
Yet the people that we all saw at this node, these keepers, seem to be shapeshifters. I mean, I don't know what we can do about it, but it's worth paying attention to, I think, keeping it in the back of your mind that what if the people we've been running into are Alvirium? If they all can shapeshift.
Can you roll me an Arcana check, Dex?
Heck yeah.
Dax is on to something.
25.
As you're saying that, you're thinking that just because of the implications of what you're saying seem massive. So you're trying to be very careful on like dissecting what you heard. And you do remember Raul used the term they can possess what they like. And you know that in terms of like magic, that is a very different thing from like transforming.
Totally.
So unless Raul used that word carelessly, you might think a bit differently as you ponder that.
But on second thought, if Raul really meant possess and didn't mean shapeshift like we saw with the keepers, maybe they're, I don't know, maybe they're not related at all. Like I said, this could be nothing, it could be everything. I just wanted to bring it up to everyone so I wasn't keeping that to myself, really. Because as cryptic as all this stuff is, it's going to take all of us trying to figure it out at the same time.
It's a lot to take in.
Well, whatever these Alvirium are, they appear to be the enemy of our enemy. During my, we'll call it, out-of-body experience, Rackus was able to convince Gothram to hand over the Flora Divita to us because Rackus guaranteed Gothram information about something called the Elder Blade, which supposedly could be used to defeat the Alvirium.
So what you're saying is we have a chance.
What I'm saying is we don't know what side we're on, if any.
Right. I mean, if Gotham is against the Alvirium, we're against the Alvirium, but we were against Goth. Yeah, this is certainly muddy.
If the Alvirium are as bad as people are making it sound like, we may have just screwed all of Keldora by sparing Lorthal.
Yeah, that's a good point. We got to make sure that we know what we're getting into.
Sounds like it's too late, no offense.
Thinking of what the conversation Raul had with Jules will kind of look down at his steak and take some offense to that statement because Jules feels some of the weight of everything that happened, was somewhat his decision because he could have just, in his mind, he could have just gave up and let Raul succeed.
Mm-hmm.
So without looking up, maybe cutting another piece of steak, he'll say, if there's a small chance that we can succeed, it's worth trying. And he'll take a bite of steak.
What else can we do?
Well, we certainly don't have a choice at this point.
Yeah, we've come this far.
Well,
So what's next?
do we track down Gothram and try to get to the Elder Blade before he does?
Or do we find a map and see where those words lead?
Yeah, I think that's a good start.
I suppose it's easier than trying to find Gothram.
I'm just worried he's going to find us.
What if we try to find a scholar of some sort? I mean, I imagine somebody like that might have some maps laying around. They might also know some history on this Elder Blade or whatever it is. I don't.
That reminds me of the time I wanted to go to the library. Remember when I just wanted to go to the library?
Hey, whose idea was it to talk with a blue kobold, Tough? Listen, none of it matters now. I say let's finish this fine meal, let's rest up, and let's figure everything else out tomorrow.
I'm in.
Well, wait. There's one last thing that we should go over. And Tuff will just kind of shoot glares over to Dax.
Dax will set
Oh?
his steak down. He was just ripping pieces out of it like an animal. Put his hands kind of down on the table.
What is it?
I think we should perhaps reconsider those that we trust as members of Digsby's crew.
Zoki was like still ripping at her steak and then just lifts her head up with her eyebrow raised, thinking you're talking about her for a second, and then senses the obvious tension at the table and then kind of like leans back in her chair, confused, wondering what's going on.
Well, Jules, I know you don't know this. And then Tuff will look over to Zoki, and I guess you either, Zoki. Waltz and I became privy to some new information when we were on the boat traveling across Star Sea. You see, our friend, Dax here, if we can even call him that, well, he's the one responsible for Dunadast's death.
Jules looks at Dax.
No, wait, Jules. I know you want to jump him and just kill him right now. I felt the exact same way. But would it help you to know that he's sorry and Dunadast asked for it and killing his friend was the only way?
Frithator. Peaceful poison.
Yeah, that's right. I don't think I told you about that, though.
Tough. I knew.
I must have some bolts in my ears. Just give me a second. And Tuff will whack the side of his head. You said you knew?
Jules sets his fork and knife down. I knew, Tough. I wanted to tell you. I looked at Dax. It wasn't my information to tell.
You knew? And Tuff will smash his hands on the table.
Everyone that's chattering in the tavern stops chattering for a second and just looks over. Maybe the lute stops strumming for a second.
Tough will take some heavy breaths. My father, Dunadas, was killed. You knew he was my father, and you knew it was Dax. And this entire time, you never said anything.
Tough, I wanted to tell you. You have to understand that it's complicated. I didn't feel it was my place to tell you. I had hoped Dax would tell you sooner, but...
Oof.
Yeah, Tough. I mean, what was Jules gonna say? Hey, Dax killed your dad. You know, it's on me. If you're gonna be pissed at anybody, it's obviously should be me. It's not Jules. I had to confide in somebody and...
Oh, I'm pissed at you, all right, Dax. But we're not friends. Jules, you were my best friend.
I still am. Tough, Listen, the poison wouldn't have worked if it's not what Dunadas wanted.
You're not getting the point. I don't agree with Dunadas' decision, but it was Dax who decided that killing a friend was the solution. You really think you can trust an ally that would kill a friend?
No, Tough, you don't get it. You can trust an ally who would do whatever it takes, including losing a friend, including ending the life of somebody who has done more good for this world than he's ever seen before.
But you're wrong, and that's just it. He had so much more good left to do.
I know.
When I almost died, I had a vision. He saw good in the Arcanor.
I know he
You
did.
killed
Tough.
him because he didn't want information about the Arcanor to get out. But guess what? I had that information, and I created something good out of it.
And how have you honored his death by making a new Arcanor that he sought to destroy?
Dax.
You think you would want this?
Dax, enough.
Tough will get silent and just take a heavy breath in and just can't even stand to talk to Dax right now and look to Jules. Jules, I've had your back since day one. Dax can't be trusted. He's willing to let a friend die to accomplish his mission. You're supposed to have my back too, not stab it.
Listen, Tough, I don't have the words to make this right, other than to say I'm sorry. But I would hope that we've been through enough together for you to know that I do have your back. The way everything played out, timing was poor. Things should have been said sooner, and I'm sorry. I was trying to protect you at first, and it just got away from me. But I can't change anything now.
To think, after all this time, I had a friend I could trust again.
You do, Tough.
No, Jules. I have no friends. Keeper or not, I'll do what I need to do to fulfill my responsibility as a keeper. But I'm no member of Digsby's crew. You all can figure things out on your own. Just like I've always done, I'll do the same.
Tough, you realize that if we're right about our plan, we can only do it if we're all together.
After what Tough had said, he'll have started to get up to leave, but then maybe stop after hearing what Walt says. And those words of the only together that were spoken by the keepers kind of rings in his head. And he'll turn back to the group. We may need to become keepers together, but after that, you can count me out. I'm gonna go get us a map. And then Tough will make his way out of the tavern.
And that is where we'll end our session.
Awkward.
Awkward is right. You guys feel the tension? Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
You know
Tough's
what?
mad.
There's no reason to talk about it because you guys need to shut up. Because we're going to
Ouch.
talk about it in the downtime, which is for patrons.
I don't want to
Well,
talk.
I mean, we've all been being mean together in character, so I might as well be mean to you guys out of character. So shut up. We'll talk about that in the downtime, which is for
Typical.
patrons, where we react to the most recent episode. And just celebrate the end of the show since Digsby's crew doesn't exist anymore, and it's all Dax's fault because he killed Dunadas. So
I'm glad
if
we've
you're upset,
established that.
just get mad at Joel. It has nothing to do with me. I knew Dunadas was Tough's dad all along when I set up that scenario.
It is still
So-
funny that we set up it being Tubbs' dad after it happened. Just
It's
to
like
screw over
gaslighting.
Joel.
It's like gaslighting. Joel. Anyways, I like how Joel's not laughing. He's like, "Yeah, you're a jerk." Yeah. Anyways, shut up. I'm gonna read some comments I've seen online about the show. Ha 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 ha. And these are some new ones I saw on Reddit the other day. Someone made a post, and it's titled "Actual Play," and they said, "Hey all, I'm trying to get my friends to switch over to Pathfinder from 5e. Maybe not permanently, but for my specific game, I think PF2e would work better. They're hesitant because all they know is 5e and have grown to rely on the big D&D streams for inspiration, reference, etc. No, they don't have any issues separating the shows from the table, so I'm not worried about that. I'd love to find some good Pathfinder actual plays, but have been having trouble finding any that grabbed me within the first few episodes. Any suggestions? And then nobody suggested us, so. And no, just kidding. The first comment on there is from Acid Biker 5, and they said, Mortals and Portals are in the same place your team are in. They actually started with plans to be a 5e podcast and decided to switch to Pathfinder 2e before launch. They do a decent job of explaining the rules, and when they make mistakes, explaining that mistake in future episodes. And it's a fun story in a homebrew world. And then we also got another comment on there from, I think this person's commented before, and their name is OMG, it's Blabo. And I think that's the name I used for them last time as well. And they said, I'm also going to second Mortals and Portals. It's very accessible, run loosely, and using theater of the mind is very well produced and has very digestible 45 to 60 minute episodes. Really fun group and really easy to get into. Wow.
Emphasis on
guys.
the loosely, you
yeah,
know?
Loose. Yeah. That's a very, very strong emphasis on that. But thank you guys for the kind words. And yeah, I mean, that is one thing we kind of want to be, is just to show like 5e players or anyone that's hesitant about Pathfinder that it's okay. You can just jump in. You can get the rules wrong. You can mix and mash some stuff from other games. It's all right.
It's
Nobody's
easier
gonna
than you
die.
think to get the rules wrong.
Yeah,
Right?
If
And
you
only,
do
and only
anything in
some
your
people
life.
get upset about it.
Yeah, only some people get upset about it. Yeah, that's
Right.
that's exactly right. So thank you for the kind words, and we'll see you next time, mortals.
Downtime.
Tough, listen, my bad, bro.
Chill out.
Daddy, chill.